Opening scene. Welcome to Master of Many, where we take you on a journey across the globe to answer a question that seems simple, yet opens the door to some fascinating stories. How many countries are there in the world? Today we're not just counting countries, we're diving deep into how rich or poor they are, what made them that way, and how their unique stories shape our world today. Buckle up for a ride through the nations of the world and what makes each one special. So how many countries are there? The simple answer is 195. That's 193 countries recognized by the United Nations and 2 observer states, Vatican City and Palestine. But it's so much more than just a number. From the world's smallest country, Vatican City, with fewer than 1,000 residents, to the largest by population, China, with over 1.4 billion people, every country contributes something unique to our global fabric. Let's talk population. Each country is like its own puzzle piece, and the size of that piece is staggering when you look at the numbers. China, with 1.4 billion people, and India, with nearly the same, make up over a third of the world's population. But then there's Nauru, a tiny Pacific island with just about 10,000 people, less than most small towns. How do these differences in population affect wealth, living standards, and opportunities? Let's take a closer look. Section 3. The rich and the poor. What makes a country wealthy? When we talk about rich and poor countries, we're not just talking about money in the bank. We're talking about how wealth is distributed, how people live, and what drives the economy. At the top, you have countries like the United States with a GDP of over $26 trillion. On the other end, there's Burundi with one of the lowest GDPs per capita in the world. But why the disparity? Section 4. Resource-rich nations. When wealth comes from the earth. Let's start with the resource-rich nations. Countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar owe their wealth to the oil and gas beneath their feet. The UAE, for instance, turned its desert into a global hub of luxury, trade, and innovation. But here's the twist: not all resource-rich countries are wealthy. Venezuela, despite its vast oil reserves, has struggled due to political instability and mismanagement. This shows that resources alone aren't enough. You need governance and vision to turn natural wealth into economic prosperity. Section 5. Innovation powerhouses. Wealth through brains, not just brawn. Now, let's talk about countries that built wealth through innovation, not just resources. Think about Japan and South Korea. These nations have limited natural resources, but have become tech giants through innovation and hard work. Japan's economy was rebuilt after World War II, with a focus on technology, automotive, and electronics. South Korea, once a developing nation, is now a global leader in smartphones, semiconductors, and pop culture exports. Section 6. Population and wealth. Does size matter? Does a large population mean a wealthy country? Not always. India is a prime example. With over 1.4 billion people, India is on the rise, but still faces challenges with income inequality and poverty. Compare that to a tiny country like Luxembourg with just over 600,000 people, yet it's one of the wealthiest nations per capita. Luxembourg built its wealth on finance and a favorable business environment, while India's wealth comes from its booming tech sector, agriculture, and growing middle class. But with such a large population, wealth distribution is a much bigger challenge. Section 7. Quality of life. What does it mean to live in a wealthy country? Wealth isn't just about GDP, it's about how people live. In countries like Norway and Switzerland, wealth means access to world-class healthcare, education, and a high quality of life. But in some resource-rich nations, wealth is concentrated among the few, and many citizens don't enjoy the same benefits. Norway, for instance, uses its oil wealth to invest in public welfare and education. Meanwhile, countries with unequal wealth distribution often struggle with social inequality and poor living conditions for the majority. Different countries have built their wealth in different ways. For some, it's about tech and innovation. For others, it's about resources like oil, gas, or minerals. And in some cases, it's tourism and services that fuel the economy. The US leads in tech, China in manufacturing, Germany in engineering, and Switzerland in banking. Each of these sectors plays a vital role in their country's success. Life in wealthy countries often means access to better education, healthcare, and social security. But life in poorer nations can mean struggling with basic needs like food, water, and shelter. In nations like Switzerland or Australia, most citizens have access to high-quality public services. Meanwhile, in countries with lower incomes, many still fight for basic human rights, education, and healthcare. Now, the big question: how can you move to some of these wealthier countries? For Indians, moving abroad typically means getting a work or student visa. Countries like the US, Canada, and Australia offer opportunities for skilled workers, while European nations often welcome students and professionals in certain industries. For example, Canada's Express Entry system allows skilled workers to apply for permanent residency, while Australia's skilled visa programs offer pathways for those in healthcare, IT, and engineering. From countries rich in resources to nations that thrive on innovation, every country has a story to tell. The world may be divided by borders, but we're more connected than ever before. Wherever you are, opportunities await, so why not explore them? If you enjoyed today's deep dive into the world's richest and poorest nations, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Master of Many. There's a whole world out there waiting for you, and we'll be right here to guide you through it. Subscribe to Master of Many for more insights into the global landscape.